What if I told you there was a natural birth control method that was just as effective as the pill and other non-natural methods? A natural method that has no side effects and is completely reversible. A natural method that avoids the complications of expensive devices and painful surgeries. Understanding the function and benefits of natural family planning will better equip you to know that it is a much better method for you. First, I want to share with you some of the problems and complications concerning non-natural methods, and then I want to dispel a couple of the common misconceptions concerning natural methods. And then finally, I want to share with you just briefly the natural benefits and the function of a natural method. As we begin by looking at some of the problems, the most common is the use of drugs, hormonal drugs, in order to suppress ovulation and menstruation. The most popular of these in our culture is the pill. The pill basically contains estrogen, and today it could be only progesterone, though a combination of the two hormones can be used. When the pill first came out, it took about 10 years for them to realize that the amount of estrogen that they were using was actually dangerous to the female body, and when scientific studies began to link breast cancer and other problems, then they had to begin lowering it. One pro-non-natural method website admits that today's pill only has 1.2% of the amount of estrogen that was used. And so we've had to use the general public in order to perfect this drug on women. So basically what it does, it creates a perpetual pregnancy state. The brain with these chemicals does not release, it's from the pituitary gland, does not release into the body so that the ovaries knows that it needs to begin developing eggs and go through ovulation. So this is a suppression of the natural reproductive system. And progestogens are used, which are actually synthetic forms of progesterone, which is natural in the female body, but because you can't take natural progesterone and patent it so you can sell it or even put it into pill form, they use these synthetic forms, which, because of the suppression of ovulation, the woman doesn't have the natural flow of progesterone that she needs in her body. And this also diminishes pheromones, the natural chemicals that are used in order for to attract men, as well as a diminished libido, sex drive, and in many cases can affect a woman. So the main problem here is that these adverse physiological effects on the female body, putting these chemicals in there that aren't natural to the human body. In addition to drugs, barriers are also used, and devices. There are intrauterine devices that are placed into the woman and remain there for years, and others that go in and out each time that there's a conjugal act. These devices also contain drugs and hormones, and there's many other ones, such as cervical caps, diaphragms, and sponges, which block the cervix, which stops semen from going up into the fallopian tubes to fertilize the egg. And it's usually used in combinations of foams, creams, suppositories, and spermicide. And there's, of course, his and her condoms, which these usually diminish pleasure for him, and they can potentially even hurt her or defect without you knowing about it. And the main problem here is that these uncomfortable mechanisms hinder the mobility, natural feeling of the conjugal act. The third is surgery. You could either remove the ovaries for castration. Any guys in the room like the word castration? Also hysterectomies, which is the removal of the uterus, and a vasectomy, the old snip-snip method, where guys go in and get the vas deferens cut. And also women can get their tubes tied. It's also called tubal ligation, and they get removed from the uterus and tied off. But the problem here with these is you're altering or removing something from the human body that is naturally there. Now, these forms of birth control have an underlying mentality, and usually with this mentality draw into question natural methods. Now, I question this mentality, and I will dispel some of the common myths and misconceptions. The first of which, what about the negatives of a natural method? Well, this begs the question if nature in and of itself has negatives to it. Of course, we live in a capitalistic society strongly influenced by multi-billion-dollar companies that can better sell you something if they can create a problem in your mind, or think of something that is natural in the human body as being a negative, as something to overcome. Now think about it. If our humanity serves as something to be overcome, or as an inconvenience, perhaps we should question our mentality and reevaluate our values against what we're being presented in the media. The real question here is, are we going to embrace our humanity and our fertility as it is, for good or for ill? Or are we going to engage in chemical, mechanical, or surgical alteration of human nature? The second is, what about spontaneous sex? Well, in a culture who thrives on instant gratification, this method is going to run counter to it. There are times of infertility when spontaneous sex can be used, but during the fertile times that the husband and wife need to abstain, they get to anticipate when they come together again. This can heighten excitement, in a way create a monthly honeymoon effect for the couple. What about bringing another child into this world without being able to pay for it or care for it? Isn't this irresponsible? Well, this question proceeds from false assumptions. It assumes that a natural method is irresponsible, or that it's not effective, or that it's reducible to a hit or miss kind of method. And these aren't the case, which I will shortly demonstrate. This is a huge fear factor. There are many reasons why people use unnatural contraceptives by means of chemical alteration, physical obstruction, or surgical mutilations. But what if there is a natural way that we can achieve this end? The function of a natural method and its benefits is to maximize and minimize chances of pregnancy by the means of fertility awareness. We know when ovulation occurs. It's automatically reversible. Anytime you decide that you want to go for a child, all you have to do is decide to do that. And you get to learn about your body too. You get to know about the natural periods of infertility, such as in a woman's cycle. She goes from menstruation into a short period of infertility to ovulation to infertility again, and the cycle continues. Other types of infertility is pregnancy, or while breastfeeding, if it's done continuous, and menopause. Now, some of the natural benefits, listen to this. Natural reproductive cycles and progesterone. Natural and regular pheromones and libido. And because it's natural, it is safe, it is inexpensive, it has no side effects, you get full range of motion, no inhibitors or distractions, and fully pleasurable. And it is effective. It is as effective, if not more effective, than natural means of contraception. 97 to 99% effective is what most studies have shown. And in fact, I had a friend whose wife was on the pill, and he was using a condom, and they still got pregnant. But if they would have been using fertility awareness, they would have known that she was ovulating at the time and could have avoided what they didn't decide on at that time. And we can also better date the day of arrival of a new one based on the day of conception, as opposed to a woman's last menstrual cycle. And also, better marriages Strangely but interestingly, this is a shared method of ongoing cooperation between the man and the woman. And anytime there's ongoing cooperation, it builds relationship. The divorce rates among those using natural methods, of those studies I could find and see, put them below 2%. One was as low as 0.2% of divorce rate. Natural family planning just simply changes the dynamics and mentality of the home. In conclusion, we don't have to be sold on non-natural methods. We have every benefit of every single unnatural or non-natural contraception wrapped up into a natural one. And we avoid all the complications and problems by using a natural one, by simply being aware of our own fertility. I encourage you then to look past the media and embrace your humanity, understand your fertility, and learn a little bit about yourselves.